Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Our speakers, we're really grateful. Thank you, Odunayo, for joining. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you, Angela. Thank you all for joining and joining on time. We really appreciate you. And we promise you that you have a lot to learn from our speakers because they will be sharing their experiences and knowledge with you. And you can ask your questions that will guide and help your career. Before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Stella Kosiboje. I work with the Public Relations Women Foundation as the programs and membership lead. I lead programs such as the PRO Student Summit, and it is an initiative by the foundation to introduce public relations as a viable career to young students because we believe that the best time to start was yesterday. The other best time to start is now. And you can start developing and building your career while in school. I know we are used to the fact that some people say they want to be engineers, they want to be doctors, but I can tell you that there is profitability in the profession and there is a lot of prospects in public relations and communications. So the summit is coming to tell you, bringing in speakers with experience to come and tell you that you can do it while in school, learn from their experiences, learn things you should do and things you should not do. How do you build your brand from a very young stage? And just look at it this way. If you start working, writing, doing a lot of work, documenting your process while in school, when you graduate, you're not just starting. And if you get into any role, you will not start a training position because you have proof of work and you have experience. And that is why we organize the PR Student Summit to educate, to empower, and to support students to start their career in public relations and communications. Um, we've been doing this for the past 6 years and we've gone through a lot of schools in Nigeria. Last month, we held the summit with the University of Lome, where we had students from Togo joining. It was really exciting and a lot of feedback. Again, another great thing is feedback that we get that I didn't have understanding of what public relations was. I clearly understand now, and I've started posting on LinkedIn. I've started building my personal brand. These are the feedbacks that we get from the summit, and it gives us joy and it shows that indeed the summit is impactful. Again, thank you very much. My name is Stella, and I just told you about what we do at the foundation. And we will also want to tell the student that we have books, and we have free books for students that are interested. We said we'll give it to the 5 students that join in on time. 1 minute. So we'll be giving this book, How to Build a Successful Public Relations Career. We're giving 5 copies of these books. If you can see the book, 5 copies of this book to students of Yaba Tech. It is How to Build a Successful Public Relations Career in Nigeria. It is practically and locally knowledgeable. It was authored by Efe Obioma. She shared this book with us to share with students. This book is really impactful. As a young professional, how do you build a successful career in public relations and communication? We'll be giving out 5 copies of this book to support you because we are not just saying that we are not saying the talk, we are doing the work, and this would help your career. So if you're interested in getting a copy of this book, please drop your name on the chat and your LinkedIn URL will reach out to you on how we can share this book to you. Again, how to build a successful public relations career in Nigeria. These are practical and relevant knowledge that would help you start your career and build a successful career. So if you want a copy, we have 5 copies to give out. Put your name in the chat and your LinkedIn URL. So the LinkedIn URL is very important because you will make a post about it. that you attended the summit and you got a copy of this book tagging the author. So we're talking about personal branding and you need to be online. So Instagram is nice, but as a professional, you also need to be on LinkedIn. So our speakers too, they're very active on LinkedIn. I saw their post and they're also sharing insights and knowledge on their timelines. So drop your name and your LinkedIn URL. I will reach out to you. Thank you all very much. That is it about the book. Before we close, I will also talk about the book for anyone interested in getting a copy. Um, Thank you all very much. And we'll just get right to it. Seeing that the HOD is not able to join us, we'll just get right started. We have our speakers in the room, Eunice Samuel and Joel Krampa, if I got the name correctly. Thank you again for being here because our speakers are busy professionals, but they are very invested in impacting young people and they made that time to be here. I will be starting the summit with our first speaker, Eunice Samuel. I'll just read out her bio. Again, you can also tell us where you're joining in from and what you look forward to learning during the summit. So Samuel is a communications strategist and social impact professional, passionate about using storytelling and digital communication to drive youth development and social change across Africa. She's a first-class graduate of English from the University of Benin. Wow, wonderful. And currently serves as communications lead for the Global Shapers Community Ibadan Up, an initiative of the World Economic Forum, alongside a role as Senior Communications Analyst at EyeCity Africa. Our work spans strategic communications, digital campaigns, and impact storytelling across sectors including education, gender equity, entrepreneurship, and workforce development. Eunice is also the founder of Evova, a platform supporting women and girls to access opportunities and grow beyond limitation. She's particularly interested in conversations around inclusion, growth, the future of work, and the power of communication in shaping social transformation. We're very honored to have you, Eunice. I'm passing the mic to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I hope you can hear me very well.
Yes,
Yes,
I can.
okay. So to start, I would love to share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can. My PR experience.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me to speak at this summit. So today I'll be talking on my PR experience and what I wish I knew as an undergraduate. Currently, I work as a senior communications analyst at EyeCity Africa. But before I got here, there is a story behind my journey. Okay, before we go into the details of today's discussion, I want to ask a simple question. Can you drop in the chat box what you thought, what you picture PR as a person, as a student? When you hear of PR, what first comes to mind? Can you share with me in the chat box? Or you can unmute to share your thoughts. What does PR mean to you? The picture in mind when you hear about PR. Anyone willing to share? Okay, I picture reputation, public perceptions, and brand image. That's very correct. PR is also about managing the image of a person or organization. Correct as well. Thanks for sharing, Angela and Coca. So also, I had a picture of what PR was a few years ago before I started out. And then some of the image I had about PR was true, but I later learned down the line that PR is more than that. It is deeper and more extensive than I thought. And before any of this, I never planned a career in public relations. I studied English at the University of Ibadan, and the plan was simple to become an academic from my bachelor's. After my bachelor's, I go for my master's in languages and then a PhD. I was very passionate about being a lecturer, but PR found me. It was never part of the plan, but I'm glad that I was able to pivot when I did. Okay, how it really started for me was when I was in the university. That's why it gives me great pleasure to be able to talk with students that are also in the university or in tertiary institution. And it started in 300 level. It was the year everything shifted. Before I was, very focused on my books. I was reading extensively because I knew I had to have enough research skills and have a good grade to be able to, function properly in the career I chose for myself, which was lecturing. Then I joined Enactus University of Ibadan. Enactus is a non-governmental organization that uses entrepreneurial action to um, execute change in the community. We've in Enactus, we carry out a lot of projects like Project Type Hacks. And then there's a project we also carried out, forgotten the name, where we supplied women who have businesses but the business had failed because there was lack of capital. We provided them with capital so that they can also sponsor their children to school. So those were the kind of initiatives we took. We were back done in an actor's UI. So when I joined, a year later, I was elected the PRO for an actor's UI. And I was elected PRO not because I had knowledge about public relations, but because I was just very consistent with the meetings. I showed up and I had a very good relationship with members of the community. So it was easy for them to elect me as public relations officer. That was how my journey began. So I handled the social media accounts for Enactus UI, then stakeholders engagements, relationship between our organization and then the school body. Whenever we have a project that we need a sponsorship for, that relationship where we engage the school and the school management and get necessary approval. That was majorly the work I was in. And then between community members, we had a group where we interacted each day and then carry out responsibilities and initiatives. So that was my major responsibility: social media, stakeholders, engagement, and community. That was how I became a PR. Should I call it a professional? But I was just in PR through an actor's UI. I had zero prior experience, but I did not start because I was qualified. I started because I showed up consistently in meetings, and then I was deemed fit to head the PR of an actors. Before I began my journey in PR to me was just about the glamour. I read a lot of magazines then, and I saw well-written prose work, some fiction, some non-fiction, press releases, then granting interviews on TV. You see the communication strategist of a particular organization on TV answering questions brilliantly with very nice attires, then just looking good. To me, PR was about looking good on paper, on camera, and that was the whole picture in my head. Yes. But in reality, PR is actually more than that. You have to sweat a lot before you shine. Before there's an interview, there are a lot of background preparation that goes on, a lot of editing, reworking, feedback loop. There's a whole lot going on before the shine. So what PR actually is endless reworking, reviews, and feedback loops. Before a press release is granted, we've had a lot of drafts submitting for reviews, a lot of feedback going on and everything. Every public post needs approval. Not all of it makes it out. Out of about 30 posts you are making, you're working on, maybe 20 may get approved, some 15, depends on how rigorous the feedback process is. That's what PR is actually about. Every public post needs approval. You don't just wake up one day and then you say, I want to post on this, and then it goes live just like that. No, except you are the sole proprietor of your organization, then you can do and undo. But when you work for someone and your job is to make them look good in public, whatever you're bringing to the table as a form of deliverable, it must go through an approval. And sometimes the process is very long. Then there is constant people management and patience. Because we are public facing, we have to deal with a lot of people, how we are perceived, how we interact with people to get the necessary feedback we need. So people is at the center of what we do, and you need patience to be able to manage people sometimes at a very large scale. So that's what PR actually is. Even when you are on camera, how do you present a message that is appropriate, that you are not hurting one? To how do you present a message that it's not if some subjects are very sensitive, you need to find a way to pass it through, that it does not come as insensitive or insulting to a particular group of people. So there are a lot of things to consider in PR. And then you have to be hyper aware about things going on 247, of everything happening, especially in cases of crisis management. Before you can manage a crisis, you have to be aware there is a crisis. And how do you stay aware? By being online 247, you measure the reaction you get from the things you put out, how people perceive it, and then you can now tailor your response to that. That means being hyper aware. So PR is just more than granting interviews, press releases, and all that. It's about endless reworking, coming up with new ideas to make your organization look better in public. Then feedback, be open to receiving countless feedback. Then approval is a very crucial part of it, because you need to give out the right message. You need to engage with all stakeholders involved to make sure that you are saying the right thing. Then constant people management. You will manage people a lot, and yes, it needs patience. So that's the reality of public relations for me. Then my first experience, I said my background was purely academic. Then I now pivoted to PR. And the first experience that I had obviously was social media management and people's and stakeholder relations. But the first application of PR to a real project was Project StyPart. And that project was where because we saw a need in the community. I schooled in Ibadan, and there are a lot of public schools in Ibadan. And we saw that some children could not afford school sandals. You see some wearing slippers, the some wearing very worn out shoes, and it was not pleasing at all. And we know the kind of discomfort they go through, because they face a lot of bullying, mocking in school, and it's for them personally, it's not comfortable. So we saw that problem, that lots of public schools children lack school standards, and they are not able to afford the ones in the market because it's kind of pricey. So we now made it our responsibility to craft sandals from end of life tires, that is tires that are no longer in use, worn out and all that. And how we did that was that we collaborated with a mechanic workshop. There are heaps of tires from years of abandonment. So what we did was we got those tires, and then we took it to a shoemaker, and then we crafted a sandals out of the soles, out of the tire. That's for the soles. We made tires to sandals. So that was the first impact project I worked on as a PR person. And my job was to make sure that people saw the need for the project we embarked on. People saw the solution we are trying to bring, and people are on board. They are on board to support the initiative. The problem was thousands of people could not afford quality school sandals, and the solution to that was subsidized sandals made from end-of-life tires. And then the result is that we got approval from the public. We got people reaching out to say we are doing well. And then at the end of the day, we pitched these projects to Enactors Nigeria, and then we won funding to scale it. We started with very little amounts to fund this. I mean, funding them was within members of Ibadan Shapers community. Sorry, I'm mixing things up. Funding them was between members of Enatos UI. We members, we gathered together. So we were even the one gathering the tires. I remember going to the workshop. Then we were rolling the tires down the street to where it was going to be, transformed into souls for children. Then my role as a PR executive was making sure that we were represented well online. We shot an explainer video about the project. We told the story. We drove reach, and we just made sure that we were articulate enough to attract funding. That, and my first takeaway from that is that volunteer first. I could not have experienced this project without volunteering. And on the job, I learned the crafts, became valuable, and then seek internship. These parts would be talked about later on as we go along. Then the win that made it, from this project, I was now able to take part in other initiatives and contribute to the comms that made sure people understood the value we were bringing to the table. And one thing that really stood out for me in my comms career is comms became the bridge. Public relations became the bridge from people, from what we make accessible to people. You know, a lot of people necessarily do not have access to things, but because of public relations, they can see that they are valuable and that there are solutions to whatever problem they're embarking. I work in the development sector right from when I started, and Actors is about development, social development, even Global Shapers Ibadan, where I volunteer as a comms lead, is also about development, creating solutions that cater to the needs of people in Ibadan. And EyeCity Africa is also a international development initiatives where we embark on projects that impact the life of people across Africa. So development is the sector I've always functioned in. And through public relations, I've seen that comms became a bridge between what is possible and what is expected. Like some people, they don't know they can access a high level opportunities and high level of network because of the current situation they are in. But with public relations, we bring it to their faces that this is possible. You are in a war-torn zone, but you can access skills that will accelerate your business, your career. So comms to me was a bridge, which was a win that I valued very well. Strong communications means people who would never have reached us do. So people who would necessarily not have the buy-in to reach people would have because of public relations. And then they are aware that this is possible. They can access this because of what we put online. Then, like people in Sudan, Tunisia, and other conflict-affected places have access to our interventions because of communication, because of public relations. When we talked about our program for STEM, our STEM programs for secondary school students in Global Shapers, we were able to reach a lot of people because of public relations. Not naturally, those because the program was targeted towards girls in secondary schools, and they are not online. But public relations is more than just being online, also physically. So we went to those schools. We invited 10 schools. So we went to those schools to talk to them about the program we were having. And then through public relations, we were able to gather 100 girls from underserved communities to access careers in STEM through our advocacy initiative on, I think, Girls' Child Day. So PAM's public relations makes way where there even seems to be no way. It's like a bridge between what is attainable and those that have not attained anything. So we are the one transporting them to what is attainable, and that's a win for me. PR is not just promotion, running ads, granting interviews. Sometimes it is the bridge that helps change people's life, and that is what makes it very meaningful to me. The knowledge that through what we are putting outside, people are getting elevated from the position they were into a better place. People are gaining access to skills, mentorship, networking, and a lot of things. So what I'm saying is that find what public relation means to you. For me, it is because public relations gives others that do not have a voice a voice. It is the impact to me. That's what public relations means to me. So it is your responsibility to find out what comms means to you, what PR means to you, why you are going into it, and then you find your balance. Then, although we are making impacts, but it's necessary to note that there will be mistakes along the way. And a mistake I learned from practicing comms is I'm a very impatient person. I used to be a very impatient person, and I'm still learning the ropes on how to balance it. Early on, I lost patience with feedback loops where you where you have to rework something over and over again. Like after the first 5 feedback, and then there are still more coming in. It is human for you to lose patience. Like, why am I doing this thing over? And it takes time, with the more feedback you receive, the more time it takes to complete a particular task. So that's a mistake I made. I get very impatient at the beginning. When a deadline is looming, the urge to just send something out is very strong. And you'll be imagining, what are these people correcting? It looks perfect to you, but people with more experience in the sector, people with more experience with public facing activities, they know not to rush it. They know what is right and what is wrong. But what I'm saying is that when the urge to just do something because feedback is lagging is pulling you behind, consider, what if there are sensitive information inside that are not ready to leave the room? You may not consider that information sensitive, but those who are experienced, they know that this information should not be in the eyes of the public. So just sit through whatever feedback loop you are in. That was a mistake I'm learning from my journey in communications. A great output delivered late beats a rushed one delivered on time. So patience is a professional skills in public relations. That's what I just have to say. And it is a skill that everybody intending to pursue a career in public relations to have. Be patient with the feedback loop, be patient with people, be patient with the public and everything. Okay, before I ventured into comms, there was an advice that changed the trajectory of my life. Now that we are students now, and then we are already considering a career in public relations, there's the advice I received when I started is what I still want to give out. Chase knowledge before the title. That was what helped me when I was starting out. I reached out to a friend who already has a booming career in communications marketing. And I told him that I'm interested in comms because it seems I'm good at it. I was the comms, um, I was the PRO for an actors, communications lead for global shippers. Even when I was serving during my community development service, I was the president of Press CDS. So all the activities I've been involved in, they just revolved around comms and PR. So it was like a right way for me to just pursue a career in comms. So when I reached out, he just said, learn. Even before choosing a title, I'm the communication strategist at this and that. I'm the founder at this and that. Before you can become all those titles and do them well, you have to have the background knowledge of what you are doing. And so that was what I did. He referred me to Comms Avenue, and it has been a game changer for me. And when I joined the community, there were a lot of resources that were shared with us, how to, first 100 days in PR, how to navigate the industries. They shared a lot of links. And then YouTube videos. I also watched a lot of YouTube videos about comms, what is about PR, how to start. And then there were a lot of LinkedIn sessions at that time, even from organizations outside Africa who were there were just a lot of sessions that I took part in. And then mentorship. The place of mentorship is one thing I would always advise someone who is starting out in comms. A lot of people reach out to me that they're interested in this. How did I start? It may just seem like a very big task, a hill that seems unsurmountable. But when you have the right person in your corner, someone you can always reach out for when things get unclear, when you're afraid, when you're frightened that what next, and then there's someone always there, your backbone, telling you how to go. Sometimes when you just hear the story of someone and it sounds similar to what you are going through, then you have the confidence that what I have in mind is achievable. So just have mentorship, comms mentorship. It may not be comms, it may be PR, it may not be PR. Any form of mentorship related to public relations is advisable. So get resources. There are a lot of resources online, YouTube videos to watch from. There are a lot of communities like PRWF. Follow them on social media. See what they are doing, how they are doing it, and then tailor your career path according to that if it's what you want. Then this part is like the focal point of my whole conversation today. How to break in, how to start a career in PR. What I did that helps me kickstart my own career was, number one, I volunteered for real projects and I joined real teams. Volunteering is like, it was the essence of my being, if I can say it that way. I volunteered, and it took a lot of my time, a lot of my resources, sometimes money, because you have to go to different places, you have to reach different people, and then the time to craft all those compelling narratives. It takes time. So volunteer for real projects and teams. That was what I did, and it actually gave me the experience I used when applying for a job. When I was applying for a job in my current organization, I had not worked with a real team, in quotes, a real team in that a professional setting. All what I did, all the knowledge and experience I had was through volunteering. And that was what I brought out and I was accepted. So volunteer for a real project. At the end of the day, you see that it accumulates, and then you can use it as your work experience and all that. Then show up online, join the conversations. I was very active on LinkedIn at a point because I knew it was very important in my career in comms, because people need to know that this is what I do. Yeah, and showing up online is how they get to know. Then another point is apply even when you feel unready. Apply for opportunities, apply for mentorship sessions, apply to join incubator programs, apply for boot camps. All those things would equip you with the right experience. You meet the right people. In fact, you may even meet someone that will be key in accelerating your career. So apply for events, apply for opportunities, even when you don't feel already. Sometimes those applications, they would look some will ask you to record a video, and I know recording a video is like a turn off for most people. Sometimes it's writing essays, and then some of them you have to write 3 essays, and then you already lose interest because they're asking you to do something. And the important thing to note is that even though things that are good, even though they are free, yeah, they still demand some sort of effort from you. So don't be afraid to put in that effort in order for you to, become knowledgeable. I've applied to some opportunities that I had to write 3 different essays. There was an opportunity I applied for that I had to write 13 essays. And they know that people would run away once they see the number of essays they have to write. And they use that to sieve people that are serious from the unserious ones. So if you are interested in growing and learning, apply to opportunities. Do not run away because the process seems tedious and you want the easy way out. Do the hard things. Stay true to your timelines. As you are now, have a timeline in mind. What level are you in now? What do you want to achieve by the time you're in your final year? What do you want to achieve by the time you are done with your university degree? So when you set that timeline, it will now guide how urgent you pursue things, including a career in PR. Let people know what you do is linked to show up online. Aside showing up online, talk to your peers, talk to your leaders, let them know what you do, what you are interested in, and then they can tailor your guidance accordingly to your desires. Is when they know that you want to pursue a profession in PR, they can now think of a PR person they know, and then they connect you together. So let people know what you do. Don't be shy to speak out, speak about what you are doing, and don't be shy to tell people you are looking for opportunities so that they can send opportunities your way. Then the last thing is keep learning. Learning is a very important part when starting out. I learned a lot. I learned from people ahead of me. I followed a lot of comms people on LinkedIn, and I learned from their journey. And I even tried some of those that I look to being like them. I tried to mirror their processes. So that's what you should do for those interested in a career in PR. Then these 3 things I would say to myself as an undergraduate. Number 1, start now. Like they've not been a better time than now. You will never have less pressure than today. You will not, and that's a fact, not just for PR, for every sphere of life. The lesser pressure you are facing is today, is the one you are facing today. Tomorrow now, something else can come. There are stages in life, and now is like the easiest stage. As a student, when I was a student, I was balling because I had all the time. I could afford to make mistakes that now, if I make, it will be very costly on myself and on my career. So you will never have a less pressure period than now when you are a student. Volunteer and take up small or unpaid roles. while you can. Now you're a student. Nobody expects a lot from you. You're a student. You're not receiving call from home that send money or something is happening. They need to fix this and that. You are still dependent on your parents a bit for some people though. If you're in that category like I was when I was a student, I was receiving allowance from home. Nobody was asking me to send anything. So I was able to volunteer as much as I wanted and gather relevant um, experiences through those volunteering opportunities. Now is the right time to volunteer to gain experience. Point blank. Now is the right time. When you've graduated, you are expected to have a job. You're expected to carry on some responsibilities. So, and that is not the time you now start thinking of volunteering because you expect to get paid and paid well. Later, the roles that build you feel out of reach. If you don't volunteer now and gain relevant experiences, when you now think you are ready and you are older than you are now, the opportunity to volunteer would still be there, but it will not be what you want to go for because you need money. And to be honest, everybody needs money. They want a job that pays them well. And to get that job that pays you well means you have the right skill set, you have the right experience, you have the right knowledge that is relevant for the job. So if you had not volunteered in the past, how would you now be able to access the one that requires you to have knowledge? So start now, volunteer now, so that you'll be able to access opportunities that will pave way for you, and they are better paid ones because you are qualified for the job. Then number two things I would have said to myself as an undergraduate is that glamour is the smallest part of the job. PR is this big circle. The glamour in it is just a tiny point in the middle. What is the biggest part of PR is the work. Fall in love with the glamorous work, the creating ideas, the feedback, the just putting things together, people management, reaching out for sponsorship, reaching out for people to join whatever initiative you're building. Those are the real work, and it is very unglamorous because let me not say more than that. The reworking and feedback loops are where the real skills quietly lives. Coming up with an idea is good, but reworking it over and over again, receiving feedback, reworking and everything before it now gets to approval stage, that is where the real work is. And then the final fine-tuned output is just the glamour, and that's the smallest part. Number three, patience is power, especially for those with short attention span, that for people who are very impatient and they just want things done quickly. Patience is power. Rushing week work to beat a deadline costs far more than waiting to deliver it. So for me, the three things I would have talked to myself when I was an undergraduate was starting then. Thank God I started when I started. Start now. Glamour is the smallest part of the PR ecosystem. Patience is power. Yes, so I'm coming to an end of my presentation, but one more thing to add is that PR pays, it pays, but it compounds. When you get to see the well, how do they put it now? The reward of your hard work is at a later time, not when you're just starting. For someone who is starting today, you do not expect to start getting the real return of your investment now. It pays when you stay true to yourself, when you stay consistent, and when you keep learning. It pays, but it compounds. The second truth is that your network is your currency. The relationship you have now may be what would help you in the future. And you can build good relationships by networking, by attending events like this one, and so on. Then it is an always on crafts job. It rewards people who genuinely enjoy people. So you have to be always on top of your game, know things going on, and then growth runs on trust. For you to grow, you must have people that trust the work you do. That you must be valuable enough for people to trust that you bring a lot to the table, and then you would be an added member of the team. That is when you can grow. To conclude, if you remember nothing else, remember this: PR is not just about looking good, it's about showing up, staying true, stay true, and telling stories that move people and move the needle. Thank you so much. I've come to the end of my presentation.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Please, let's give a round of applause, an online emoji to appreciate our speaker. There was a lot of lesson and knowledge to learn. She talked about patience. Wow, patience is very important because, especially when you're starting your career, you're not expecting somebody to come and give you a lot of money at the start of your career. So you have to be patient, be willing to learn, put in the work, and then every other thing will follow. And yes, we see public relations, it looks glamorous, the event, the award, but it takes a lot of work, and it requires that you're invested and passionate about change, because again, public relations is a strong driver for change, and you must be passionate. And thank you so much, Eunice. She also said volunteering. So at first, when you're volunteering, nobody's paying you any money, you're doing the work. You might even use your own data for free. But volunteering is very important, because you have an interview and somebody is asking, how do we do XYZ? Remember, you've done it several times as a volunteer, so you can say it boldly. This is what we do. In this case, this is what we can do. So I would say that, Eunice, you really shared a lot. Thank you very much. For young people, please, let's be patient and be willing to do the work. So it's time for questions. Do you have any questions for Eunice? Please raise your hand or put it in the chat, and then we'll call you for you to ask your question. If you have any question, you can raise your hand. So we call you. Okay, we have Christopher. Christopher, please go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, first, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My question is, how do you position yourself in the times of after your experience, let's say during your experience or during your time of your school before you graduate? So I would say that, how do you position yourself within that time of period before you start putting yourself in any work for experience, for any work or any role, any position in a work? So how do you position yourself at that time? And also, my question is, as someone who is someone who is volunteering, and also along the time, like, you have to be patient and all of that. But in terms of people who don't have anyone backing them, or anyone who is like trying to, like, maybe helping them in such a way of no money for that, no money for this, including that they don't have any work coming from there, but they're trying to gain a knowledge, they're trying to gain all of that. So how do you advise them in such a situation like that? Thank you.
Okay, can I go ahead to answer?
Yes, you can go on. Please, you can go on.
Okay, so for the first question, how do you position yourself, right? Before you can even get to selling yourself, you have to understand the dynamics of the industry you're working in. In fact, just show up online. Maybe you are learning something, right? You can decide to share what you've learned from a particular course, and you share it on LinkedIn. Just for people to know that this guy is a PR person. Then you may even start receiving requests from people that we've seen what you are doing online, we've seen you share so and so thing, and we think you are going to be important in this particular event we are trying to handle. People now begin to reach out to you because they see you as a top voice in PR, in comms. Showing up online does not require any effort. You do not need to maybe take transport or anything. What you just need to do is write. In fact, you can even write about this event. You can start today. And what you say you can start with is that I attended an event on PR Kinika and I learned this and that. And because of this, I would be doing this. So people already know through just one post that this person is interested in PR. And then when an opportunity comes up, maybe organization needs volunteer, they can easily reach out to you. And the second thing is that always be online, show up online, follow the right people so that you can get access to opportunities. Some of these volunteering opportunities, they are not physical. Some of them, they are online. They just need people online to help do this, do that. So those ones, they take lesser efforts, and you can sign up for all those opportunities. And the key is just be where opportunities are. Make sure that you're in the right space so that you can have access to all this. There are thousands of opportunities coming up online every day, but you will not be aware if you don't follow the right people, if you don't belong to the right community. Do you understand what I'm saying? There are a lot of communities that are tailored for students, for early career professionals in PR. Look for those communities, join them, and then you have access to all these opportunities I'm talking about, those that are tailored for early career professionals, for those looking to start out in comms. That's what I would say for the first question. And then if you now have the time, you can now choose to join an organization. Remember, you're not just joining any organization, but something tailored to your career aspiration. An organization that will help you grow, develop the right skill set. Join those organizations. And since you're on campus, they don't expect you to do a lot of things. They just expect you to work, do the work that you can handle. Nobody's going to give you a high level responsibility as a student. So once you make it known that you're a student and you're interested in growing as a PR professional, then they can now tailor the volunteering and whatever that they have in store for you. That's what I would say. So show up online, let people know that you're interested in PR and comms. In fact, you can even say it that you are interested in opportunities related to this and that. And then people already know, and they can now forward opportunities to your way. Then the second question is about those that do not have a support system. I understand, and is the reality of most Nigerians. But what you can do is just time management. Prioritization is very important. What is the most important thing to you? Money, right? As a student, you need money to pay your school fees, you need money to buy food, you need money for we need money for a lot of things. So you now divide your time accordingly. How many hours can I dedicate to my studies? You also need to graduate with a good grade. So there are a lot of things involved. How many hours do I need to prioritize for my studies? Number one. How many hours can I prioritize to getting money, to gaining the money I can use to further my education? That's number two. Then the thing that can come thirdly is now gaining relevant skills that will make you have a solid background in PR. Those three things are very important, and they are the three things you should focus on as a student. And where there is a will, there is always a way. So you find a way to balance. When I was a student, I was studying, I was working, I had a job, I was a freelance writer. I was also volunteering for 2 different organizations, and I still graduated with a first class. So I'm just trying to say that it is possible. It may look hard at the moment, but when you now learn how to prioritize your time, you know what matters most. That means you have to cut out a lot of irrelevant activities. If you always spend 5 hours on the phone, you know you have to cut that down, because you have a goal you are working towards. You know that you have to work, and you also have to gain experience in PR. So just find a way to balance the three, and I pray that you would get the desired results in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you very much.
Amen. Thank you so much, Eunice. We have another question that says, what are the specific activities a beginner can start to engage with now that are tailored towards becoming a professional public relations practitioner?
Okay, sorry, can you come again?
Okay, so we have 2 questions. Let's just take it. They're saying, firstly, what skills do they need to develop in public relations? And someone is saying, what are the specific activities? Like, what do they need to do as a beginner Is it writing? Is it presentation? Is it strategy? What activities, what specific activities can a beginner start to engage with now that are tailored towards becoming a PR professional? Did you get it?
Okay. Yes, I did. Thank you. So those questions are intertwined. They are basically saying the same thing. So for skills as a beginner, first of all, you have to be very articulate. You have to be good with writing. So learn how to develop your writing skills because, in fact, writing is in fact, I've seen, thank God for AI now. So people can easily escape. I will not call it an escape because even if you don't know how to write, it's still going to meet you there. So the first is writing skills, know how to articulate your thoughts, know how to, gather evidences together and present it in a good way, in a way that people already, some articles from the title, you already know what this is about. So basics of writing, you should be able to calculate your what, your when, your why. I think they call it the 5 W's and H and how. So be very articulate, know how to write. And the way you can know how to write is by reading. Please be an extensive reader, read well, read, watch presentations, watch TEDx talks. That is how you can gain the right, skills, writing skills, presentation skills. That's for beginners, by the way. Then when you now climb up higher, you now begin to learn how to create strategies. You know how to, engage with stakeholders. But for the basic thing now is learning how to write stories, a compelling narrative, learning how to write something that people would pause to read. There are some write-ups you just scroll past because from the beginning it appears very boring and you don't want to have anything to do with it. But when you now read a catchy headline, you read, with the way the story is woven, you're interested in learning more. So learn how to read right, then have good interpersonal skills, communication skills, learn how to communicate with you can start by, your classmates. If you're an introvert, you will do well in comms and PRO, but not in the public facing one. In fact, there are introverts that can speak well to a large crowd. You understand? So learn how to communicate properly, learn how to, your diction should be something people do not struggle with. Pronounce your words well. Then learn research skills. Research is very important in public relations. That's why I said it's more than the glamour. You have to conduct research, know what is going on, know about your industry, the industry you want to be a player in, what is going on there. So when you combine all these skills together, you're on the right path. So the most relevant skills in PR is communication, strategy, relationships, and reputation. As a PR professional, you are doing more of reputations. You are trying to keep the brand or a person in the right light. You want people to perceive them as a solid person, as a right person, as a voice, a trusted voice. You want your brand to be seen as a trusted brand. So reputation management, relationship management, that's stakeholders. So you have to, learn good skills. Then organization as well, because you have project management. In fact, there are lots. If we start, we are not ending. But the most basic, writing, communications, strategy development, relationship, people management. Then as you grow, you now begin to learn the ropes of the various parts of your career, because PR is broad. You are the one that know what you want to major in. Communications and PR is a very broad sector. So the skills for all those different sectors is now dependent on what you're interested in. Yeah, so but the basics, just learn it and then you grow from there. Thank you so much. Yes, Joel, you can speak.
Okay, thank you. Just to help my colleague Eunice answer her question, I want to say that, when it comes to public relations, we have 4 stages. That's we have the technician role, we have the problem solving role, we have the expert prescriber, we have the communication facilitator. As young professionals entering into the field, your starting point is the communication technician stage of PR. So when you join that stage, it's more like you starting from I don't know if you people in Nigeria have class one, class two, or nursery, kindergarten, and so it's more like you're a baby in there. So that's your starting point, and your starting point is basically writing. That's what my colleague Eunice have mentioned. Your starting point is basically writing, writing, writing. So if you are someone who wants to do public relations and you do not like writing, then you find yourself very, very irrelevant in the space because writing is key and monitoring as well. So just to come in to answer that question. Thanks.
I think writing is right. Someone is asking what type of books? Is it fiction or non-fiction? Or is it every type of book? What type of book?
You can learn from both fiction and non-fiction. Read extensively. Any type of book is no, not any type. Those that are valuable and useful to your career growth. That is what you should read. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. So if you have more questions, you can put it on the chat. But we're going on to our second speaker. Our second speaker is Joe Krampa, and he is a communication strategist. He turns communication challenges into strategic opportunities from shaping narratives to managing reputations and launching products. It delivers work that moves audiences and achieves measurable results. Once again, thank you so much, Joe. The mic is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you too. Um, Good afternoon to everyone. It's morning here in Ghana, but it's afternoon in Nigeria, I believe. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to at least share my experiences with young public relations students coming up. My presentation is very short, 8 slides, but very impactful and a lot of storytelling. Because with mine, I am here to let you guys know how I transition from being a student and also now being in the professional stage that I am in. I currently serve as the communication lead for the Africa Prosperity Network. The main goal of what we do is that we help promote the Africa we want. We help push the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, that is the free movement of goods and services across the continent. We are more like an advocacy body, and advocacy is communication, and I lead communication is there. So those of you who have time, kindly visit our social media platforms to get to know more about what we do. So basically, my submission here is to let you guys know how I was able to transition from being a student like you guys now to being a professional. This is a candid journey through mentorship, through continuous learning and unlearning and relationships. The reason why I have all these items mentioned, because my colleague Eunice have also mentioned extensively about mentorship, about learning, reading, and all those things, and relationship building. So in my presentation, I would be giving you more of my experiences and how I've been able to succeed in most of the things that I have done. So I went to the University of Media, Arts and Communications, and then I studied communication studies, and then I majored in public relations. Now, when I started my career in slides, Yes. So when I started my career, I started from an intern at one of the state institutions here in Ghana. That is the Youth Employment Agency. And when I started, because I was very hardworking and I was able to kind of find a way to be there, I got myself a very good opportunity. After my internship, the director at the company then told me that, oh, okay, I should join him in his media house. So one of Ghana's top media stations, Metro TV. I got the opportunity to work with him. And this lesson here is that the shock of reality. The first day in the newsroom made one thing clear. Theory gives you the foundation, but practice teaches you the craft. My degree that I held at the time was just a foundation, not a finish line. Starting from zero was not a failure. It was the beginning of real learning. So, thanks to I was able to come out with something similar to how a newsroom looks like. Pardon me. But when I entered the newsroom, I was surprised because most of the things were new to me. Mind you, I started my career also from the media. The other caveat is that a lot of us, before we, let's say, decided to study public relations, we only wanted to come on TV and talk. So people think that public relations is more like a spokesperson's role, where one person comes, speaks, and go. This person comes, speaks, and go. But public relations in its own self has evolved. So when I started from the media. I started as a journalist at one of Ghana's media houses. And then when I got there, I realized that all those theories have been taught. Hypodermic needle theory, agenda setting theory, all the theories, I know them all. But now it is coming to practice. How am I able to practice? So this is what I did. I decided to find a mentor. And I know my colleague Eunice have mentioned that extensively. What I did at the time was that because I was recommended by the director, he became my mentor automatically. Whatever I did not know, I go to him, I ask him. So here are some points I've placed in there. Mentorship is not weakness. The reason why I made this known is that because of maybe pride and ego, a lot of young people come out into the system and then they think they know it all. They think because they know all the theories, because they know all the techniques, because they were taught in class. People think that they know it all, and if they approach someone to teach them, it means that they are weak. But trust me, mentorship is not a sign of weakness. It is the fastest way to grow in an industry with no single right path. The industry that you would find yourself in, that is public relations, is an industry that you can enter in so many ways. People enter through the media space. People enter through volunteerism, as Eunice mentioned. People enter through appointments. People enter through various ways that they get the opportunity to enter the industry. But one thing that a lot of people do not do, and it makes them fail in everything that they do, is that they refuse to get mentored by someone who is either practicing or a senior practitioner. Now, here are some key points that I've placed in there. Learn from people who have already made the mistakes. When I started, as I mentioned, in the media house, because I was under the mentorship of the director, who was also a presenter at the media house, anytime I am working on something, he tells me, do it this way, do it that way. If you do it this way, what happens is that the story will not go out at this time. What that also taught me is that timeliness is key in communication. So if you're a public relation practitioner and you decide to wait in terms of crisis management, you wait for your crisis to become very damaged or very intense to the fact that whatever you do cannot work, you have failed. So it taught me how news works, how even fake news travels. So it got me the opportunity. Whilst I was being mentored, I also volunteered as well to be a journalist. They were not paying me 1 cedi. They were not paying me even 1 naira to practice the profession. I was doing it because I wanted to learn and I wanted to gain all the experiences I need. Mind you, I am a PR student who left public relations to join the media to learn how the media works. The other thing that I did was that I chose people whose work and and judgment you respect. I chose people. That's why it's in there. Choose people whose work and judgment you respect. Choose people. Get connected with the right people. So even in the newsroom, I made sure that I connected myself with the editor. I connected myself with the journalists who were always following the president. And what I did was I always go to them with what I have done. Oh, this is what I have done. Can you go through for me? What do you think about it? And then they helped me. They helped me immensely. The other item is that show up with humility. Ask, listen, practice, and repeat. In the industry that you find yourself in, or we are all in public relations, without practice, trust me, you cannot do anything public relation. Let me take you back to my own story as well. So whilst I was in the media house, I got other opportunities to work as the acting communications officer for the Youth Advocates Ghana. It's a communications kind of it's an NGO that works on youth advocacy, teenage pregnancy, and so forth. And because they saw what I was doing, it opened doors for me. It started opening doors for me. I was very patient with myself. And anytime I go to people to teach me what I need to know, I was very humble. I always ask questions. And I did not interrupt them while they are teaching me or they are teaching me that, okay, write it this way and make it shorter. Don't make it long. Do it brief. This social media caption is good. Do it this way. What happened is that because I was always listening, after listening, I was practicing it. I did not let it slide. I did not say that, oh, okay, because I've spoken to Eunice, I am not going to practice. I have it all. And the other thing is that you need to repeat. So whatever I was doing at the media house, because I learned how to be time conscious, because I learned how to write news stories, because I learned how to draft press releases, I was able to practice it when I went to YAG, that is the Youth Advocates Ghana. And later on, I went back to the Youth Employment Agency. And what happened was that the Youth Employment Agency then took me to do my national service there. So that is mentorship. So my mentor then decided that, okay, since you have been with me through your internship, you have been to the media house, you have been here at YEA. Now join me when you are doing your national service, I had the opportunity to then practice more, to repeat what I have been doing through mentorship. So, mentorship in our program or field is something that we all must not joke about. You need to be humble. You need to ask questions. You need to listen. You need to practice. And you need to repeat so that you become a master. Now, the last point is do not wait for a formal program. Learn through everyday conversation. What I did was that I did not wait for us to be like, okay, we are about to have a project. Then that's when you see me working. No, I sometimes could go to the director and ask him questions on. So when you have this crisis, how do you manage it? When you have this political figure, how do you manage the brand? And through all those conversations, it was able to build me. So all these things, when you're with your mentor, having conversations with them, learning from them, they will tell you the mistakes that they did. Trust me, mentors are the best teachers you ever get after being in a lecture hall. So if you are someone and then you want to decide on a mentor, also choose carefully because whoever you choose will define who or what kind of a PR person you become. It's very important because people want to see themselves with the beautiful ladies, the handsome men, and so forth. At the end of the day, you only be doing branding. You will not be doing public relations. You'll not be doing communications because your entire focus is, okay, I want to look like this person. And then, no, you need to learn from people practicing actual public relations, not just self-branding. I'll move to my next slide. Now, learn, unlearn, and adapt. Real growth happens when you keep what is useful and release what no longer works. Now, this is where whatever we learned in school comes in. Once we are done with school, you end up seeing that all of us, we are more like hyper, kind of, we want to impress, we want to show that, yeah, we are on top. We came up with the first class. We are good students. We are solid and cool. But mind you, when it comes to the practice in its own self, because your job is more of building on people's perception, even in public relations, we say people's perception is their reality. People's perception about you is their reality. So it's a social cultural practice we are doing. However, I practice PR or communications in Ghana, it's not going to work completely when I come to Nigeria and want to work there. I have had the opportunity to work in Ivory Coast, Ethiopia, Equatorial Guinea. So I know at least some of the practices that happens in these countries. When you go to Equatorial Guinea, they speak Spanish and their media is under dictatorship. So you realize that how you practice public relations or communications over there will be different from how you practice communication or PR in Nigeria. So this is where you learn, you unlearn, you adapt. So as public relations practitioners, what we need to do is that whilst we are learning, we should remind ourselves that the environment that we are in requires either we do something or we leave certain things out, or it's either we adapt. And as young people practicing, because we are from school, this is the time for us to learn more. So you learn consistently on the media, You learn consistency on the audiences. You learn on the tools, social media. You need to master it. You need to learn all those things. And expectations keep shifting. That's what I want to let you guys know. Is that the expectation in our field now is shifting every time. Because gone were the days. What happens is that when someone says, I'm a PR or I'm a public relations officer, I'm a public relations director, or so forth, it means the person comes on TV to speak. But now, the role has shifted. It is moving, it is evolving. And even with the emergence of AI, the role keeps on evolving. So, this is the time for us as young people to also learn. There are certain things that you already know in your mind that public relations is about spokespersonship. Oh, so when I want to do PR and I want to be coming on TV to speak, it's something you have to unlearn. Some imported playbooks sound good in theory, but fail in African context. Like as I mentioned, per the social cultural aspect that we are doing. The books that we have will teach us the theories and everything. But trust me, some of the theories, when you apply it into our cultural system, it does not work. This is because our cultural system is different from the ones in Europe, for instance. And you should know that some of the books that we have, the theories and everything that we have, most of them were written by those in Europe. It doesn't mean it is irrelevant. It is so very, very, very relevant. But trust me, there are certain items of those things that we need to keep, and there are certain aspects of them that we need to let go. And in my experience, what I did was that after school, I had to let go of all the plenty theories I knew to start understanding who are my audiences. Who am I communicating to? At the Africa Prosperity Network, that's what I basically do. Who are we communicating to? Who do we want to convince that Africa needs to be better? I can't come there and start using a one-way communication system. It won't work. We are countries that we have democracy. So I have to understand that instead of using a one way, I need to use a two-way because I need feedback to continue my communication. So you on learning and learning is very, very key in the practice. Please do not stick too much on because you know this theory, you will be learning from your mentors or challenging them or making them feel like, oh, they do not know anything. Trust me, the industry that you find yourself in is more about learning, also changing the way you learn, and also adapting quickly. It got to a time people were saying that because AI has come, AI is going to take away a lot of people's jobs. AI is not going to take away the jobs of public relation practitioners. I always tell people this is because AI is not a human being to understand situations. That's why in our practice, we have situational analysis, we have SWOT analysis. We are people. AI is a machine, it's an algorithm created. AI can do these nice presentations for me, but AI will not understand that I am speaking to these students. So that is one thing that I want us to get clear, that we must also not rely solely on AI. AI makes it easy. Once you type, you want this, it gives you an answer and everything. But mind you, AI is not a human being. And even beneath every answer AI gives you, it tells you that AI sometimes might be incorrect or so. It gives you let's a note for you to go and recheck. So that should tell you. So if you are someone who you are over reliant on AI, please stick to your books, learn so that you'll be able to apply what you have learned into practice. by consistently adapting to the systems which are ever changing. Because trust me, our system will continue to change, and you need to adapt quickly. You need to be fast. My sister mentioned that you need to be conscious. You need to volunteer. Whilst you are volunteering, you are adapting to the system. So these are things that I need you all to pay close attention to, because when you do not do so, what happens is that after your internship, after your national service, I don't know how they call it in Nigeria, after you volunteering and people tell you that, oh, they are no longer interested in working with you, they should tell you that, what did I do wrong? Was I learning? Because a lot of times we young people want to impress either than being humble. Moving on to my next slide. Relationships is everything. Let me read everything here and then I explain. Across Ghana, Ethiopia, Equatorial Guinea, and Cote d'Ivoire, the difference between success and struggle has been trust. Journalists are partners, not targets. A network is built through consistency, not convenience. Reputation is earned by doing what you said you would do. Invest in people, not transaction. Now, this is simple. There's one thing that we all need to pay close attention to, which is relationship. It's everything. In our practice, people need to trust you for them to be able to work with you. If people do not trust you that you can deliver, you would not be able to practice public relations. Across Ghana, Ethiopia, Equatorial Guinea, and Cote d'Ivoire, everything that you will do is built on trust. Mind you, the definition of public relations is a process where we build mutual and beneficial relationship between we, the PR people who are who are representing the organization, and the publics. Mind you, if your relationship is not built on trust, you won't be successful. That is the truth. In my practice, what I have done so far is to ensure that I have network across all the continents. So if you need a media house in South Africa today, I can get your contact. And those people trust me so well because I know how to maintain good mutual relationship on behalf of my organization and the people that we represent. What I also do is that I don't treat journalists as just reporters because I also had a bit of experience in the newsroom. I know how important they are. So I'd rather treat them like partners because without them, who will know of my organization? At APN, I make sure that is Africa Prosperity Net. I make sure that my relationship with the media are more than partners. We have a good, solid relationship. The trust is there. It's sinking in. I just don't see them as, oh, this person is a journalist. They should come and cover story for me and then I'll let them go and then they'll send me the links. They are just reporters. No, they can make or make you in your practice. That's one thing I also want you people to take home. That journalists in the practice of public relations can either make you or unmake you because they are more of like the voice. In Ghana, we say the media is the fourth estate. It means that the media is the fourth arm of government. So I need all of you to pay close attention to that and don't treat journalists like they are some kind of what you might call people who come report stories, you give them a pack of food, and that is it. No, you need to treat them like partners. That's what I do. I treat journalists like partners. I make sure that the network I have is built through consistency I always engage them. I always talk to them. It's more like a relationship I need to maintain with them. And then finally, reputation is earned by doing what you said you will do. In the practice of PR, truth is key.
Mommy.
You need to be truthful in everything that you do. Because public relations is about building perception, you can change people's perception by letting them believe in lies. But trust me, reality will expose you. So one of the things that you need to keep at the back of your mind is that truth is key in my practice. What I am doing? Is it truthful? What I am doing? Is it something that I have told them that I will do in terms of accountability? And also, you need to invest in people. I don't see people more like a transaction kind of thing that oh, today I've met this person, so I'll let the person go. Investing in them does not mean giving them money. Investing in them means building the relationship. It could just be a normal document you share with them. And even as a student, where you are going to build good relationship with your mentors, you need to invest in them. Don't see your mentors as a stepping stone to get to the next level, and then that is it. As I earlier mentioned, the director that mentored me, even though I'm no longer working under him, I see him almost every time. I'm building on that relationship. And what that has done is he's also giving me gigs to do. He can tell me that, okay, a friend of his is coming. He needs media coverage. I should organize the media for him, which is media relations. And I get paid for that. So you see, all these relationships that we are talking about, at the end of the day, because people trust you, you have good relationship. It gives you more jobs. And I know Eunice knows that. That once you have good relationship with people, people trust your work. What happens is that people bring you work to do. Now, there are four things that I want you all to keep in mind. These things are more like the degree that you have. I know some of you might be in level 400, 300, 200, or 100. That the degree will open the doors for you. The degree, it will open the doors because when you go on LinkedIn currently, you end up seeing that people are looking for communication officer for this, a public relations officer for this. By your attitude, relationships, and discipline will keep you in the room. Now, there's these four items which are so pertinent that I want you all to keep in mind because you are young public relation practitioners to come. The first one, allow yourself to be mentored. I've spoken about it and I'll speak about it again. That don't see yourself as you know it all because you have a degree. No. Now that you're on the field, allow yourself to be taught by a practitioner, not by a textbook, not by Karl Marx, not by theories from whoever. Allow yourself to be mentored by people practicing in the field. The second is keep learning. Be ready to unlearn. Lately, a lot of people find it very difficult to unlearn some of the things they have learned because they think they are so right. But trust me, sometimes allowing yourself to unlearn and adapt and improve on that learning process is key in our practice because it's changing almost every time. 5 years ago, who would have known that AI will come? So if you are someone who is still practicing in the system of 5 years, you would have been left behind because now AI is more like the new thing. AI is helping people do content analysis. AI is helping people draft public relation plans and campaigns. AI is helping people draft and write. So imagine if you are still staying in those primitive days or years, what would have happened? You would have been left behind. So my advice for you all is that keep learning. Keep learning. Take social media seriously. Because I'm sure 10 years ago, who would have known that social media will be more like the information platform for people? Right now, if people want to know what is happening in Nigeria, all they need to do is to go on Facebook and type Nigeria. All the stories that is happening is there. Imagine someone is still waiting for a newspaper to come. Someone is still waiting for um radio, for someone to speak on the radio before they get information. But right now, information is very easily and accessible on social media. So that's where learning and be ready to unlearn comes in. Do not stay in the mind, don't let it stick in your mind that I have to still be focused on radio, newspaper. And ask yourself, how many people read newspaper these days? But trust me, it's not like newspaper, TV, and radio have lost their relevance. No, they haven't. But the system that we have is ever changing. Trust me, maybe tomorrow we'll have maybe another platform that can create something. We all do not know. But once that platform comes up, let's be ready to learn and not stand firmly on the old things that we used to do or the old things stick in our minds. The third item is that guard your relationship fiercely. See, relationship is key to our practice. Once you have good relationship, it opens doors for you. Your relationship as a public relations practitioner or a communications practitioner, it depends, for you to be successful, depends on the kind of relationship you have. Whilst you are growing in your career, you are volunteering. Trust me, whatever Eunice said, I listened very, very carefully. So, in even re-editing my document, I had to take a lot of things out not to give you information overload. But relationships, when you are volunteering, relationships with your mentors, relationships in your offices, relationships as students. Trust me, you do not know who will be your next Minister of Communication. You do not know who will be your next director for the big company's communication. That maybe you have also established a communication agency and you need contract form. You do not know. So always ensure that you have that relationships among each other. And then the fourth item is stay humble, stay hungry. You need to stay humble. Don't go into your internship um, workplaces or your national service workplaces and start rubbing shoulders with the directors and the senior staffs who are already there because you know social media, because you know this theory. Stay humble. Trust me, those who have been there or who are still there, there's a reason they are there. They are not irrelevant. They are people you can learn from. So always avail yourself. And whilst availing yourself to be mentored, to be learning and everything, you need to stay humble. You must let them know that you respect authority and also stay hungry. Let people see you to be hardworking. See, for you to progress, even after having good relationship, when people make comments like Joel or Eunice, oh, Eunice, I have a good relationship with her and she's very hardworking. Trust me, that is it. Don't go to work holding your phones and when you are doing volunteerism, people are working, people are sitting by their laptop analyzing stuff, and only you're on TikTok looking at someone's life TikTok stream, commenting, laughing. Please, that will never make you successful in the public relations space. So please stay humble and also stay hungry to learn. Then my closing slide to all of you that your turn starts now. It does not start tomorrow. It starts today. Whatever decision you take today will determine the kind of public relation person you become tomorrow. Look, the public relations space or communication space is a field that is very challenging. As Eunice mentioned, you have to be on social media 24/7. It's challenging. It's your time. But trust me, it's rewarding. And also, it's consistently changing. It's changing every day. It will change. It will change. It will change. Very challenging, but very rewarding and changing. And then one quote that, in putting this together, I was able to couch is that the best PR practitioner stays curious, seeks guidance, and build genuine relationships. To be honest with you, as I'm over here, I lead communications. I handle a lot of things. I still go to my mentors for advice. Sometimes I call them, oh, senior, I am doing this. What do you think is the best way I can approach this? Then they advise me. And trust me, those advice have been very, very valuable. It has helped me in my career growth. And I am very, very, very young to be leading communications in a multinational NGO. I have had the opportunity of working for the AFDB president, that is Dr. Sidi Uta. I had the opportunity to work with his campaign team. And this is because I had good relationship. And anytime I face challenges, I call the guidance I have, call the mentors I have. That's senior, I am doing this. And also build genuine relationships. Don't build relationships based on transaction. That is more of you want to gain something from them. That's why you have or you want to build that relationship. No, build genuine relationship. Let people know that you are building a relationship for growth, not just to build a relationship and use people for growth. And then the last item is now go build something amazing. See, there's a lot of opportunities for communication people out there. There's a lot. You have a lot of opportunities to excel in the practice, but the most importantly, learn, unlearn, be hardworking, let yourself be mentored, and also stay humble. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Wow, let's give a round of applause to our speaker. That was really powerful. I cannot see your online emoji. Let's appreciate him because he really shared a lot. He talked about people, relationship, being trustworthy. Like people should be able to trust you. People should know that you're bringing value. These are really very important. And I talked about working and he didn't get money. And it stems from the fact that Eunice talked about volunteering, that at first you might not be making money, but it is important that you show value. Joel, we're really grateful. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. So it's time for questions. Do you have any question for Joel? You can raise up your hand or share your question in the chat. Thank you so much. Me too, I've learned a lot. Building relationship with people. Yes, Mr. Joy, Joel, someone is saying, can we connect with you on LinkedIn? You can just share your
Yes, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Before I ended my slide, please pardon me. Let me reshare it again. I want us to do something. So my organization, that's the Africa Prosperity Network, we are having this thing where we call the Make Africa Borderless Now. Trust me, we PR people would also benefit from this initiative if we all signed a petition which is to demand that Africa needs to be borderless. Trust me, when Africa is borderless, we can all survive. The issue of unemployment is I think it's a very big thing across the entire continent. Wherever I have been to, at least I've been to 3 African countries. Wherever I've been to, including my friends in Nigeria currently, everybody is complaining of unemployment. This is because our industries are stuck in one place. They are not moving. Imagine we have companies spread across the continent. They have expanded, meaning they will need more people. People can travel freely. Even traveling to Cote d'Ivoire is stressful. I'm thinking of one day coming to Nigeria. I'm sure that will also be stressful. So we are embarking on this campaign called the Make Africa Borderless Now. It was launched at the Africa Prosperity Dialogues. Some of you can go online and check about it. And what we are saying is that we are calling on all our leaders to make Africa borderless. Recently, Ghana just agreed to do visa-free. Burundi has also done theirs. Togo has also done theirs. I am praying Nigeria will also do theirs as well, so that as a continent, people can move freely, goods and services can move freely for us to evolve and grow. So all I need is that those who are available, who can, please visit the makeafricaborderlessnow.com or visit any of the Africa Prosperity Network on social media and sign the petition. These signatures will be presented to the African Union next year, February, for them to know that Africans are calling for a borderless Africa. Thank you very much for coming in on this one. To answer your question, you can follow me on LinkedIn. My name is Joel Krampa. So when you type Joel Krampa on LinkedIn, you will see me there. And please, you can add me, you can send me any message you want, but please let it be professional, so that once I am free, I am able to attend to all of them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, so you can keep your questions coming, but for the registration form, someone asked that for someone that is introverted, how do you reach out to a mentor? So for example, I see Eunice and I said I want Eunice to be my mentor. I'm very shy. I don't know how to communicate or network. So how do I start? What do I say for me to tell someone that please I would love you to be my mentor in this
Okay.
career path that I've
Okay.
started?
There's one thing that let's say maybe I stand to be corrected by me, Eunice or you, I guess, is that in as much as you are shy, the public relation work, you need to be bold. Trust me, you are representing your organization and then you are shy. You need to be bold. These mentors that you are seeing could be even your lecturer. These mentors that you are seeing could even be your next internship workplace, the person there. So how you approach a mentor depends on you, where you want to go to in terms of career path. Some people want to stick solely to political communication. So their mentor will be someone who is senior most in political com. Some people also want to stick to advertising. So their mentor will be someone in the advertising space. So all depends on you. But one thing is that you need to be bold. You can't, I don't know how best to say it, but boldness is key if you want to progress in this industry, because you'll be appearing on TV, you'll be answering queries, you have to deal with crisis. And if you are shy and you are not outspoken, how will you be able to solve crisis if the time comes? So my advice is that there are techniques to be bold. The reason why you are shy is sometimes because you are afraid to make mistakes. So you are, what will happen if I make this mistake? Please make all the mistakes you can make now. Do not feel shy of anybody. Make all the mistakes now so that you can grow tomorrow. I have made a lot of mistakes, terrible ones, but it has not stopped my career from growing. So please be bold and don't feel shy of making mistakes, because those around you will not make you make a mistake that will damage you. Your mentors that you pick will not make you do something that will damage you. So please, um, um, be bold. Thank you.
Christopher also has a question. Be bold. Boldness is very important for the PR profession. So, Christopher, please ask your question.
Okay, please can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. So, my question is, we asked about mentorship. So that's one of our questions. So my question is that, well, I've been hearing that we have different kind of mentors, whereby most mentors are having a kind of how do I say, a kind of thoughts of being using someone for their own advantage, but not to help someone at the end of the time or something. So I want to know, how do you know the kind of mentors that someone will, that if I need a mentor, how do I know this person can actually be my mentor and I can follow this person? So that's one of my questions. And also, in terms of someone being going to kind of public creation or anything or in that kind of stage. So if I'm trying to get into that place and I don't like, I'm not trying to go into TV or presentation or presenter or any kind of thing. So like I'm going to something like trying to make, okay, trying to give a brand this kind of payout, trying to do that. So what do you think that such a person can do when going there? Thank you.
Okay. So if I may get your first question right, you were asking how one can um identify a good mentor, and some of them use people for their own benefit and so forth. Trust me, I've had people who have used me as well. That's the world we are in. That's the reality. But trust me, when you identify such a person, just let the person go. There are good practitioners out there. Once you identify that, okay, especially this is for the ladies, because some men will make so much advances at you. Those things are nasty, old men. But trust me, if that's happening, what I would advise you to do is that just stay away. It's not bad, it's not a crime to stay away from people who want to use you. But the thing is, you need to evaluate. Are they teaching you or using you? Because we young people lately, some of us are lazy. So once they tell you draft a press release, bring it, and then they edit it for you and they send it back to you, that do this edit and changes, come, and then they query you and then put you like on point. People find it offensive and think someone is using them. I beg you, when a PR practitioner is assisting you in that form, he's just trying to make sure that you are groomed well, mentored properly. But if the person is making advances at you, which are not polite in terms of personality, culturally sensitive things, or physical abuse and co, please stay away from that person. Or if the person has abused you before, stuff, the authorities are also there for you to report to. So these things are things that you need to bear in mind. And the other question is that how do you get when you want to practice